Why listen to their footsteps when you can smell their fear? Yeah, this this one made me laugh the moment I saw it. Just had to add it in here. It's definitely not the right way to be wearing the headphones there. I don't know what kind of headphones those are. Why is it that everyone in pretty much everything you see seems to have better gear and setup than you do? Like, I spend a lot of money on my setup. You know, I'm a gamer, so obviously I spend quite a bit of money on quite a bit of stuff. But I never seem to get stuff quite as good as what everyone else seems to get. And I don't know if there's like some sort of secret store or something that, I don't know, people buy this stuff off of. But I'd like to know. Somebody's got to put me in the loop as to where on earth people are getting this great gaming gear. Before online multiplayer, much H2O. After online multiplayer, about 90% salt. Yeah. The saltiness of online multiplaying, so I don't do it, and part of the reason why is because people just don't seem to know how to behave like actual human beings on multiplaying platforms. So a lot of toxicity. I actually heard that some of the stations or some of the studios are actually kind of cracking down on the toxicity of its players and its fan base and all that, trying to make it so that it's more welcoming to newcomers and everything. So it is one of those things that is an acknowledged problem in the industry, especially with certain games. Bad couple. Stop playing video games. No! Good couple. We should play video games together. Yes. Yeah, that is indeed the ideal couple, but a good couple is also somebody who's like, have fun playing video games. You know, whether it's the male or the female in the relationship that enjoys playing video games, just let the other person be the other person. It's impossible to change somebody who likes something a certain way. Like, you can try all you want, but all you're going to do is build resentment. Just let the other person enjoy what they enjoy. Usually they'll let you enjoy what you enjoy. This is how my wife and I do it, because my wife, she's not a big gamer, she doesn't like it, but she lets me play my video games, and then I let her do whatever kind of things she likes to do, and give her time to do that. It's really important in a relationship to be able to build off one another and to build kind of like a space where you're both happy with each other and you both enjoy and kind of like those quirks and traits that the other person has. You don't have to be controlling in a relationship. In fact, the more controlling a relationship, the more unhappy you're going to be. And that's kind of what this particular meme is giving me. Like, you're unhappy when you're trying to control the other person. Just learn to accept it. They're usually going to let you do what you want to do. Then go and do what you want to do while they're playing video games. You know, you don't have to be constantly at each other's throats. How it feels to game in the summer. Yeah, everything's burning. That's a big problem in my little office right now, is the fact that, so my office is basically one of the unused rooms in the house. And the heat that comes off of my game systems and my computer and stuff like that, it has me sweating before the night's over, that's for sure. The amount of like residual heat that comes off of this and builds up, it's a really interesting, like if you ever want to study something interesting, study the transfer of heat among electronics, and you'll find out why your room boils whenever you're doing that. I don't need to worry about air conditioning in my room during the winter because all of my equipment make sure that my room is nice, toasty, like 80, 90 degrees often during the winter. So it gets pretty hot, especially when you're gaming. Kids when they die in an online game. Hacker! Yeah, this is not just kids though. This is also very kid-minded adults. Like, kids you kind of expect it from, because kids a lot of times haven't learned how to control themselves. They haven't learned how to control their emotions, and depending on their parenting style, maybe they aren't going to learn how to do that. But the problem is that when you die in any game, and I've talked about this many times, you die in any game, then a lot of times the anger that you feel is because you feel like you should have won. But that's not the case. You never deserve to win. You earn it. You have to actually get good at the game. And there are other people doing the same on online games. You're never going to be the best forever. Somebody else is going to come along and take your title. And that's kind of the point here, is that kids often will call you a hacker because they don't want to believe that they're bad. They believe that they deserve to win. It's the same with kid-like adults, where they will call you a hacker. Some people will even SWAT your house, like most stupid thing ever. SWAT your house because they feel like they deserve to win and they deserve to be better, but they don't. They haven't earned it. It's kind of like the idea of stolen valor, where you didn't earn something but you're claiming it. It's the same thing. You're claiming victory on a victory that you never earned. And so, yep, I completely agree. When you die on an online game, that saltiness sometimes will make people push to claim you're a hacker. PC is better than console. Everyone knows that. Alright, but is your PC better than console? Yeah, exactly. My PC is better than console, but I don't like playing on my PC better than I like playing on my consoles. I kind of like all of them for different reasons. PC is fine as long as I can use a controller, because using the keyboard and mouse is really difficult for me, especially since I grew up on Nintendo. And the only PC games I grew up with were like Freddy Fish and Pajama Sam and those point and click adventures. So never really got used to gaming with a keyboard and mouse. I used to play Descent, and that one was pretty intensive in that way, but I think I only beat it ever once. Anyway, but yeah, before you make fun of somebody else, make sure that your specs are up. New game. The game I was about to finish. Aw, very sad cat. Yeah, the problem with Steam summer sales and PlayStation sales and Amazon games and all this other stuff is that you have a vast library of unplayed games, and a lot of times if you're not really focused on doing something, then you'll swap between game to game to game in order to kind of chase the high of playing the video game. Sometimes games will get dull and boring after a little while, and so you move on to something else thinking that you're going to go back to the other game, and then you never really do. This is what happened with Sekiro, in which I put it down and I didn't pick it up for a while afterwards. I did finally pick it up again, and that's what I'm focusing on now. Hopefully be able to actually beat it this time. But absolutely, finish the games that you start, and you'll feel a lot better going on to that new game. Sometimes the dopamine runs out. I completely understand that. You don't feel the desire to continue playing it the way that you do, but finishing a game is quite a dopamine rush. So if you're sitting there looking forward to something, just look forward to the time in which you can end the game. But yeah, that is an adorable cat. And I mean, that pooch is really cute too. Used to have a dog like that, chocolate lab. The trifecta. Good graphics, good gameplay and story, optimized FPS performance. Yeah, absolutely. I think that game developers have kind of lost their way a little bit in focusing completely on the FPS and graphics. Even FPS sometimes gets ignored in favor of graphics, and like the story just gets completely buried in nonsense, or the story itself just isn't that good, and you kind of lose the power of that trifecta. And there are so few games that actually satisfy that. Sekiro, I think, is one of the ones that absolutely perfectly encapsulates this trifecta. And I think that The Legend of Zelda as well, like pretty much all of their games. There are a few that I'd exclude, but pretty much all their games fit in this. And I feel like game developers really should focus on the gameplay and story, and maybe the optimized FPS. Graphics don't have to be great. Just look at these games that are getting super awesome reviews. Not all of them have amazing graphics. Just have good gameplay and, if possible, a great story told in a good way. Not all of them are going to be able to have a great story, but you can always have great gameplay, and you can always do something about the performance. So, anyway, type of headaches: migraine, hypertension, stress, just built PC not starting. Well, that sounds like an OS problem to me. I just recently bought the stuff to build a new PC, and yeah, it is really expensive, but it is difficult when you sit there and you build it and you think that it should be working just fine and it doesn't start at all. But a lot of times I've noticed that when I'm building PCs, if it's not starting, then something's not plugged in correctly, or you don't have the proper OS or BIOS on the stuff. So sometimes it's about flashing BIOS, sometimes it's about which obviously not the normal person can do. Sometimes it's about redoing the OS. There are so many things that it very well could be. The thing is just calm down, breathe, take a moment, and look at the problem with a fresh perspective. That's what I find always fixes my problems, going into something with a completely fresh perspective, because you're not going to sit there and figure it out while you're stressed out. Just wait a little bit, calm down, breathe, play a video game, if you have a console or handheld or whatnot, and then come back to it with a fresh perspective. Low funds but high passion games. High funding, low passion games. Yeah, there's a big difference, a very big difference. And I like how kind of like you see the fantasy and fantastic idea of the unicorn, and then the high funding, low passion games are just kind of like this industrial waste unicorn, because that's basically what it is. It's the industry trying to make money, and they make money based on name recognition. Kind of like Apple. Apple has no reason to be as expensive as it is. It just doesn't. You can find the exact same things from Apple on Amazon for a fifth of the price. Exact same things. That little leather strap that holds the tag, the air tag, is $100 or up to $300 on Apple, but only $100 on Amazon. So the whole point here is that they use their name in order to get you to purchase their product, and that doesn't always work the way that they want it to. A lot of times, like I found Hollow Knight be one of the absolute best games that I've played in a long time. Like absolutely top tier gaming. And Sekiro, that is a great high funding, high passion game. The point here is the passion, is how do you feel about the game you're creating? If you love the game you're creating, it's gonna be great and people are gonna love it too. If you don't care about the game you're creating and you're just creating it for a payday, people also aren't going to care about it. It's not going to be as memorable. Maybe it'll earn you the money, maybe it won't. It's highly likely that it won't though. Hey, is Skyrim worth checking out? Me for the next 3 hours? what is that? Daedric Princes? Mead Dynasty? What the heck? I actually just bought Skyrim. I've never played it before, but I keep hearing all sorts of really good things about it, and so I plan on playing it. I plan on doing a run through of that game. But I remember my brother, he was really into it. He really loved it and tried to get me into it many times, but it was just a style of game at that point that I wasn't interested in playing. And then as, of course, I get older and wiser, then I find that there are certain games that there's a reason for the hype around them. When everyone around you says that it's a great game, there's a good chance that it's a great game. And you should probably take their advice and go on and try it. So Skyrim is one of those ones coming down the pipeline. Game. Press any key to continue. Me. Presses the power button. Game. Turns off. Yeah, it's not very clear there, but it did say any key, and the power button is not a key, it's a button, okay? So, just so you know, you didn't really actually, every key is a button, but not every button is a key, just so you know. But yeah, this one kind of made me laugh because some people are like that, where you have to be so incredibly specific, otherwise they're not going to get it. And I have had a few friends like this, that if you are not incredibly specific, then they won't understand it. And I guess guys in general, when we get married, we're kind of like this too, where you got to tell us exactly what you want, or it's not happening. Applies to photography school. Here's my portfolio. That's a pretty good Pokemon Snap portfolio. Pokemon Snap for the N64 was a fun game. I really liked the Pokemon Snap for the N64. I remember playing that for hours. But the Pokemon Snap for the Switch, that was also a pretty good one. Like, I really enjoyed where they took it, and I enjoyed kind of like the nostalgic feeling, as well as kind of the continuation, the upgrade that it brought. So Pokemon Snap, great game for anybody who wants it. Probably not going to get you very good into photography school, but it does show dedication. And if you can get really good pictures with really good ratings, I don't know. If I was a professor and I saw that, I'd be like, well, at least he's got an eye, you know. When you turn on your console after several months and you don't know what to do in the game. Where am I? What the? Yeah, this is really bad, especially in Elden Ring. Oh my goodness, if you come into Elden Ring after a couple months, you have no idea. You might as well just start the game over again. And that's what I did with my Sekiro. Like, I stopped at Owl, and I know I've mentioned Sekiro like 90 times, but that's because that's the game that I'm playing right now. Anyway, but like I dropped it at Owl, like one of the near end game boss fights, and didn't pick it up, so I had to start over from the very beginning again. Otherwise there is no way that I was ever going to be able to beat Owl or anything else. And this time I took my time to actually learn the parry mechanics. But yeah, video games, don't put them down, finish them when you're playing them, otherwise you're gonna lose track. There's just no way for you to keep up with everything that's going on in life and where you are in a video game. So enjoy it, play it, and once you finish it, then it kind of gets, parts and aspects of it gets locked into your long-term memory. So when you pick it up again, you'll kind of remember where you needed to go and what you needed to do. So, but that's only after you finish it. If you don't finish it, then that never really happens. Fresh install of Windows. Great, you won't crash anymore, right? Yeah, Windows does this a lot. Like, it is one of those things that lately my computer that I've had for the last 5 years has started rebooting pretty much every single night. And not for any particular reason. There's no reason for it to be doing what it's doing, but it does crash constantly. Run the health checks on it and the fragmentation and all this other stuff, and nothing. It's just crashing because it wants to crash, and that's a big problem with Windows. And Mac has less of that problem, but I have also had problem with my MacBook doing that, and so it is one of those things that it's just about the OS. Sometimes it gets caught in a memory loop, sometimes whatever. But especially when you're in the middle of playing a game, and Windows is by far the superior OS for playing video games, but part of the problem is that when you're playing a game and it hasn't auto-saved and then it crashes and there's nothing you can do. Like you just have to do it all over again. You lose it. So it gets frustrating, but think of it as an opportunity to replay the game that you're having fun with, or maybe that you're about to throw out the window. Either way, you're still going to play it again. Open crypt in fantasy game, sealed for 5,000 years. Candles are lit, contains local currency of the region. I know, right? What I think happens is that in those crypts, the moment that you enter, a lot of times there are like ghosts and stuff like that, and they light it up to kind of scare you, get you off guard so that they can kill you easier. And then you don't actually gain the local currency of the region. You find some of the old currency or gold or whatnot, and you sell it for the local currency. That's how I view stuff like that. And granted, that's not in-game, but it is one of those funny little aspects of video games where it's like, yeah, this has been sealed for 5,000 years, but there's all of this modern stuff in there, and somehow the candles haven't gone out. Yeah, I understand the concept of the meme. It's just a problem of sometimes we don't think into how that could possibly be, and a lot of times when you're opening a crypt, there are creeps and ghouls in there. Rate my setup. Ignore my cat. Yeah, this isn't my setup. My setup is probably a little bit dirtier than this. No, not really. But that's not a cat. I just thought you might want that pointed out right there. It's kind of hard to tell, from the angle of the camera and the lighting. Like, it can be really confusing. But sometimes turkeys can indeed look like cats in the right light. This indeed is not the right light because, I can tell that that's turkey. But your setup, I would rate that probably a 6 out of 10. Like, it looks okay, but I don't know the specs of your computer, and the bareness of the room would make it very echoey. So don't play online games, where they can hear the echo and it distracts everyone. Just saying. When my cousins come over and want to play all the video games, yep. And this, actually, I have all of the video games inside this picture. I have the PC, the Switch, the PS5, the Xbox, whatever version that is. I can't remember whether it's One X or Series X or Xbox One XS, whatever. It doesn't really matter, and I have a powerful PC. Yeah, but the thing is, when I was young, I was actually the ducks. Like, I'd be coming over and be begging my cousins, because my cousins were far more into gaming. My aunt was a big gamer. In fact, she's the one who got me into gaming. And my cousins always had like the video games and stuff like that. In my family, I was the one always with the video games, but I was always trailing behind my cousins. And so, yeah, whenever I went over to their house, I would absolutely be there with my hand out like, hey, let's play a video game. It was fun, and it really enabled me to have a good connection and relationship with my cousins. Where do you see yourself when you're 70 years old? Me, relaxing on a couch, playing a game with a cat in my lap and a dog in the background? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, of course, this would have to be when my family moves out, because my wife, she doesn't care much for animal hair. My kids are actually allergic to dog slobber. And I myself don't usually have much time for video games besides the maybe hour, and sometimes, if I'm lucky, 2 hours that I get to play. But Other than that, yeah, absolutely, this is where I'd be, and nobody would be bothering me. I'd barely go outside. People would think that I was dead, and I'd just be in there on some sort of gaming marathon for the next, I don't know, 3-4 months, doing something, maybe streaming. We'd have to see. Like, eventually I'll get into the streaming aspect, but this is exactly where I see myself in 70 years. If you like this video and want to see more gaming content, please tune in Monday through Saturday, where I upload gaming content every day. And if you just want to watch the memes, I upload the memes at 5:15 Eastern every single day. I hope you enjoy and have a great rest of your day.